regulatory frameworks and licensing for natural resource-based healthcare products. See, the herbal industry, for that matter, anything concerned with the natural products, there are two distinct possibility or a direction with which we can look into the possibility of its usage. Today what we see in a system like Ayush, it may be Ayurveda, Unani Yoga, Naturopathy, all possible ways, it's take the whole thing in a holistic way. It's not only a drug related thing, there are multiple factors come into the picture in taking care of the health of an healthy individual. It's not only a drug related thing, there are multiple factors come into the picture. Quite contrarian approach is there, what we call the reductionist approach, where what could be the molecule or the active principle responsible for this particular therapeutic activity, or maybe activity which helps to keep the well-being of an individual. So with this framework of two distinct paradigms, business opportunities require its own domain competence. For example, if you want to get into the reductionist approach, example of curcumin, we all know it is from Curcuma longa, and again Dr. Saklani would have given all the possible variations, and if you speak to the FRLHT scientists, they will give you all the subvarieties, species responsible, or maybe you take piperine, which are all the sources for the piperine. That's how a niche segment is created. If you want to look at the role of individual, these actives or isolates, having a huge potential, at the same time, the more deeper you get into this reductionistic domain, the requirement also, it's mind-boggling. Probably startups, unless you have a very, a hold on the domain, hold on the background, hold on the infrastructure, that is the financial capability, never get into it. It's an honest submission. There are industries, they are well versed, and slowly they are, expanding into these new domains. Many of the figures what Sir was talking about, the export, the quantum, etc., they all comes into this particular area. That's what Madam was talking about, the export, the requirements, the variations, etc., etc. It's a very niche segment, but more the deeper, the volume will be much bigger. That's an underlying statement. The initial requirements are different, but the way the industry grows and the possibility of expansion, and more than anything else, the international demand for those isolates. For example, the vithinolides from ashwagandha. Okay, these are all, with a limited time, paucity of time, I'll give here and there some examples and I'll skip. Now coming back to the reductionist approach also leads to big pharma research and drug development. Please understand. You name the modern molecules, many of the therapeutic molecules and its derivatives originally came from your kitchen. How many people know that Crocus sativus is the source for crocin? But you know that Crocus sativus is there in your kitchen. Kesar. Kesari. In Kannada we call Kesari. Like this, the opiates. Many of the opiates, how it started, where it ended, that's a different domain. That's why any startup, those, even if you have a domain knowledge, be careful. This is an area which requires the incubation of this particular areas too vast. It sucks your money, tests your patience and your determination. That's why only few companies, for example in Bangalore, and that too they are selectively moving, looking at the demand. And also the demand is something like, depending on the new research, the new articles, it moves around. Once the new alternate comes into the market, automatically the demand comes down. It will have an implication on your cultivation also. Please understand, because many farmers will be there. And now, getting into the deepest aspect of this is, yes, I can understand the limitation. Now you have a role, for example, as a cultivator. Many of these species, when they go for the isolations, the demand is in tons, metric tons, not in kgs, till they mimic the isomers are created. Okay, that's a different domain. Let me not do deeper into it because it's of no use. And those who are interested, they can contact me. I can give you my limited knowledge because it's a very deeper aspect of it. Now coming to the holistic approach. Now, where is your role? What is your possibility to chip in? You can put your stake right from the sourcing of raw materials. I will tell you the figures, whatever the billions we are talking about. Sometime you take 0.1%, 0.2% of the herbal actives, create a product. The actual cost of that particular actives, the ratio of actives what you are using will be in few rupees. Final product will be, when you convert it to dollar, a few thousands. Now I cannot say, no, this is the size of the industry, you please come and chip in and have a role. No, sorry, that's not the fact. And also, right from cultivation, standardization, Madam was giving a very good example about the Tinus paracardifolium. The demand for these type of herbs, heavily traded herbs, is huge. What you need to do is try to bridge the gap with the available resources. Madam knows about different schemes available in the government and how to sustainably, first you grow, then harvest, go get into the agricultural GAPs, and industries are there waiting for that type of, a properly cultivated and properly, channelized product to reach their premises. Because this holistic, whatever the aspect I'm talking about, is having a huge demand. Forget about export, I'm not talking about export, because none of these can go out of this country as a medicine, please understand. These all can go as a health supplement. You know, one of the finest and oldest brand, Leaf 52, except maybe a couple of places, everywhere it is treated as a health supplement. How much ever the research articles will talk about its medicinal role, that's how the stringent, the approach is. Because these medicines are basically a group of herbs, when they're subjected to processing, it will create an entirely new entity. That's the beauty of Ayurveda. And that's the beauty of Ayush system. And of late you are seeing a lot of cacophony about whether it is a science or it's a myth, it's a dogmatic tradition and all that. Please understand. In your kitchen, you can create wonders and take patents. That's the depth of science seen in our kitchens. Then when you come to Ayurveda or any other traditional, documented, written prescriptions having a history of 3,000 to 4,000 years, there are a lot of science involved in it. For example, we have the primordial dosage forms like the decoctions, the powders, etc. to advanced, self-generated alcoholic preparations. Now the science is telling there is what we call the analogs are being created. The more the fermentation duration, that is what we call the maturation time, the more of these type of new molecules, the analogs are being created. And these are having a very significant role which modern science cannot able to give any justification. I'll give you another example. We all know about Brahmi. You take Bacopa Manara or the Central Asiatica having the role. Even now, some of the studies conducted on premium institute like NIAS, they are not able to justify the pathway with which the particular holistic or a natural drug is acting. That's the beauty of the natural processing or the techniques involved. Now, here comes the role of youngsters who want to jump in, entrepreneurs who want to have a role to play. This is an area you can take. There is no much infrastructure is required. You need not break your head to, have too much of know about the whole thing. Here, right from making a simple cosmetic product to, that is personal care product to, an advanced nanoparticles. That's the beauty of this particular science. They are all made from natural resources. But only thing is, it requires its own setup. It requires its own, know-how, the qualified people around, and then we can chip in. The easiest way you try to take and adopt, the smallest will be your growth. This thumb rule you keep in your mind. And today, in the era of internet and digital marketing, very easy to give the feedback both negative or positively. You can go to the sky and you can go to the worst possible negative. Because the feedbacks are, when the reply what you get, analysis of the feedbacks about your product, etc. will be too fast. Sometimes when they are comparing about few of the standards what madam was talking about, sometimes even the personal care products is a very niche area of late. So you need to be very careful. And if you want to get into Ayush sector, there are different roles to play, and I have mentioned there the phytopharmaceutical role. That's what I was talking about, the medicines. And if you want to get into the medicine, the department of Ayush will come into the picture. Then the botanical extracts. This is what the standardization, what he was talking about, and what's the role, and what is the dynamics of it, and what is the potential of it. Then comes the nutraceutical. This is another fastest growing segment where the food safety department come into the picture, and also the cosmeceuticals. See, this is the depth. With this holistic approach, we can expand, and these are again a very niche segment. These are a very niche segment. What a traditional formulation will cost around 100 or couple of 100 rupees. This, once you standardize, will go to a couple of thousand rupees. You can see many such brands in many of our airports. Let me not name the brands, but this is the potential. There are people. Even if you take 1 or 2% of our population, look at the market potential of 130, 135 crore. Even 1 or 2%, see the potential there. There are people. That's why the companies are surviving. These are the areas, but only thing is, start from the scratch, or if you want to get into the thing is, you need to be a little cautious about different pitfalls in the process. It is very important. Don't think or imagine everything is rosy. Herbal means everybody will take. Those who have got into will understand the limitations also. But definitely, there are huge possibilities if you are sincere, if your approach is transparent and your commitment is unquestionable, definitely you want to see a positive change. And I have limited the regulatory aspects to only from the point of Ayush, and specifically I am talking about the Ayurveda. Here, what we call the scheduled texts. Now even the role of scheduled text can be minimized once the new rule comes into the play, where under section 86N, they are going to allow even any natural product beyond this scheduled text to come into the system. That's a new proposal. Any natural thing except the isolates. So you have your own traditional formulation, your grandparents or maybe as a family you are using, it's having a therapeutic role. Definitely you can substantiate and you can get the product. That's what as of now, the scheduled text is very important. Then comes the infrastructure, what you require to make a medicine. Minimum Even now, as of today, the applicable law talks about minimum area required to make a medicine. And depending on the dosage form, the quantum of your dosage form, and the varieties of dosage form, and the number of products of the dosage form, the area also varies. Okay, this is a hard and fast rule. Now the new rules talks about even taking off the specified area. This is where it is, and comes the role of applicability or permission, getting the permission under the section 25D, that is your own company, or you are getting it done through a third party or a contract manufacturing under 25E, etc. That all, when you jump into it, any basic search will give you all the details about it. Then comes the GP. This is a primary thing required to sell or make a medicine and sell a medicine as a medicine, any formulation. Now you don't want to get into all this nitty-gritty of a medicine, then you can take the food safety, the rule what we have exercised, or else you need to get into, you need to pass through this. Now again, the market potential. As I said, India is one of the fastest growing economies, not one of the fastest growing economy in the world today. 6.7, 6.8, and others are at 5 point. And that is the largest, it's a pretty big economy, we all know about it. Look at the possibility of these segments' growth. People want it. Please understand, the segment is growing not because of its ancestral role or maybe its heritage, etc., etc. No. Our life expectancy is catching up, in the sense it's growing. Automatically, non-infective, non-communicable, degenerative, okay, and lifestyle disorders are increasing. For example, the kind of food what we ate now, a lot of incompatibilities are chipping in, and they have our thought process, the sleep deprivation is another major issue hitting our immunity. We never bother about it, and the type of food what we are eating, the amount of junk and the oils what we are getting in, the colors, the additives what is getting into the system. So these are all not an emergency condition. Here the science called, like Ayurveda, is having a very potential role, and that's the reason why this particular segment's demand is growing. So in that way, more than 25% is the year-on-year growth, and it's sometimes unimaginable that we can see in our own industry. What is our growth and where, the which, and even in our practices. Because the people want, everybody is worried about safety. Everybody knows about the untoward effects of, forget about any other drug. The vaccine, what happened now? Attenuated vaccine, and again the vaccine through mRNA came, and what happened, and what is the significant negatives happening. Just imagine with the drugs. So this is the area, and this is the reason why the holistic approach or a science like Ayurveda is catching up. And again, keep in mind, the reductionist approach, what I give glimpse, is always having its own limitations. An holistic approach, especially the way our acharyas have envisaged the development of a drug, with the precondition that any therapy which is not able to sustain and maintain the health of another normally functioning system of the body, if it breaches that normal function, automatically the therapy of the drug is discarded. That's the beauty and the inherent strength of Ayurveda. So keeping that in mind, the people are educated. Before they come to you, they would have assessed about your treatment, your drug, what you are giving, and they'll come with a barrage of questions. So this is an area where I expect those people who are really make a business opportunity, look into this possibility. If you are having no idea, but you have all the zeal and energy, I'll share my number. I will give you the roadmap, which I am, because I am tied to my own limited area. I can share with you, take it to the next level. But the only thing is, be passionate. For the heck of doing some business, don't come. That's not an area. It demands, I told you, a lot of things. And entrepreneurship, basic quality is really you have to bootstrap companies we heard about. What are the bootstrap? You must go back. If you have the zeal and courage, then you can get into it. And here GMP talks about the domestic market. If you want to go for the export, now the WHO GMP has come into picture even in Ayush. Then if you want to go further, many of the certification what Madam was talking about, and fortunately this particular government dispensation is going out of way to help the industry and help the individuals and help the system to take it to the world market.